Wow, the the hold music was so much nicer now.
Well, I mean,
Oh,
oh,
it's
we could
very
blame our
relaxing,
program manager.
right?
Well, hold on one second.
I'll tell you what he's saying. He's like, no, nobody in this house eats cat food except for the cats. Chuckle. Now, what I want you to do is go outside, get the cat food, bring it in, and just give it to the cats. Not the dogs, not the chickens, not the pigs, just the cats. Now, I don't care if the donkey has tuberculosis. And if the mule has consumption, that's what happens.
Now you know she could hear everything you just said.
Was I close?
uh, we were talking about livestock, but not
Hey,
pigs.
there you go.
We've got some brain damaged chickens, and I guess they've decided that they don't want to go in when they're supposed to
All right.
because I've got the automatic doors. And last night, I'm in bed and it's almost midnight, and I pull up my camera that's on the yard, and I got shit moving around next to that tree between the two buildings, right?
Right.
I'm saying, what the fuck is that? Big ass raccoons or what, you know? So I get up, go grab my rifle, walk down there, and it's the one big ass rooster and six hens or seven hens all bundled up in that alcove with the rooster standing guard.
Oh, nice.
These some bitches were stacked on each other like dominoes. And I'm going, why are you dipshits out here? So I opened up the door to the coop and just started throwing them in,
Oh,
you know, because they can't see for shit at night.
right.
But I'm going, really? Really? What? Why did you not go in on time today and every other day you have? You know?
Time change, man.
Yeah, but I changed the clock. I changed the timers on doors.
Yeah, but did you tell them about the time change?
They're retarded. They're chickens. I'm still amazed that they are not extinct because they're some of the dumbest animals. I mean, they're right there with squirrels.
Right.
Um, damn. But anyways, I digress. So that was the wife saying she's going to go down there and she wanted to know how to set the door. I said, you know what? I can't explain it to you. I need to be there with you because you had to program it. I said, but just go open it for them and then let it down, or open the big door and let them in and shut it. They'll figure it out. But I digress. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Enough of Chicken 101. Let's get the boilerplate bullshit out of the way. Everything we say here tonight, or any other night for that matter, or day, or whenever we decide to go on here and stir the pot, is for entertainment purposes only. If you do not understand what that is, then I can't help you. You miserably failed in public school. But this is a couple of like-minded individuals, or three or four like-minded individuals, depending on who's here, discussing whatever's on our mind and voicing our opinions to one another as friends and colleagues would do. You do not have to agree with us. And quite frankly, we don't give a shit if you do. But, you know, we don't claim to be the intelligence service, the news service, or anything else. We're just some folks discussing what we've seen or heard that day, that week, whatever, and discussing what's on our mind. So if you're offended, I don't know what to tell you. See if your grandparents will fix you a couple hot pockets. You go in the basement for a couple weeks. I don't know, because there's no safe space here. We're all grown-ups. So
but if you get the pockets,
Deuces. Tonight's title, of course, me and Sexman were just talking about this, got tariffs. There's been a lot of stuff in the discussion about, why'd Trump do this? Canada's our biggest trade partner, this, that, and other. Well, here's what I've discerned from this whole thing. We have fentanyl that comes in over both borders, which kills tens of thousands of people, if not more. Now, granted, we have a lot of people here that like their illicit hallucinogens. And, Pastor Floyd was the top one.
Right.
But they don't seem to be concerned about stopping it. I'm going to say this applies more to Mexico than it does to Canada, because they're two different beasts. We all know Mexico is corrupt as shit and it's full of drug cartels and illegal activity, from drugs, human trafficking. I mean, fucking pick something. If it's illegal or immoral, they're probably doing it and getting across the border. I don't blame the Mexican people per se, but the only way change is going to occur, real change in that country, is that the people do it. We can't do it for them. Their politicians can't fucking do it. They've got to do it. They're at the point now where everything's corrupt. The law enforcement's corrupt. The military's corrupt. I mean, I know people from Mexico. Okay? They can tell you how the shit is. The only way that's going to change is for the people to say enough. And unfortunately, most of them are either cow-toed or they feel like there's no chance, so they just let it continue on.
They're not at that point yet.
Right. But that's the only way real change is going to happen, in my opinion. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but history has shown that when you have corruption of that magnitude, that's the only way it's going to change.
Yeah.
But you've got not only the fentanyl, but like we said, you've got them taking fucking pot shots at damn law enforcement and ICE and everything else. You got them fucking using drones now trying to hurt people. You've got the rape trees that are bringing people across. I mean, it's just a great experience,
Yeah.
And at this point in time, I mean, did you hear about them having to mobilize a armored unit there?
Oh, not specifically, but I mean, why would you not? The Mexican army has incurred across the border multiple times with no ramification, nothing, just, hey, don't do that anymore.
Yep.
But have come across our border, and, knowingly. So, you know what? I mean, like I said, we've already taken Mexico City once. We could do it again.
This is true, but then we want to get rid of it. What we do with it? Well, here's the thing: if you make Mexico part of the United States, look at how small the southern border will become.
This is true.
It'd be a lot easier to police that than what we're policing now.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it.
I think I'd rather have. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah. I mean, just take the recipes, but leave the country. I think I'd rather have Canada.
How about we make it a what is it?
A protectorate
or territory?
Yeah, territory. Like,
well,
Rico.
The Pentagon, going back to what I was saying, they just on the 1st of March, if I'm reading this correctly, they dispatched a Stryker Brigade combat team and a General Support Aviation Battalion to the southwestern border. Think about that.
Oh, I mean, okay, so you've had 30 plus years of really high cartel activity.
Right.
Um, now is a great time to, okay, this is what's going to happen, Mexico. You're either going to stop it or we're going to stop it for you. We
Yeah.
couldn't before because we were so hamstringed,
Yeah.
but if these people are coming across the border and they're tied to your government anyway because they're getting paid off, then you're a clear and present danger to our southern border. So we're going to come in and fix the problem for you.
Well, if they're coming through Mexico and coming across our border, Mexico's not doing anything to stop it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
They're aiding and abetting.
Yeah.
So they're part of the problem. Um, I would tell Mexico, I'd say, well, you've got one or two options. Either this bullshit stops and you stop it on your side of the border, or we start introducing all these damn likely drug cartel headquarters with Tomahawk missiles.
Yeah. I mean, you finish it right then and there.
And, y'all can figure this shit out because and I don't want to hear nothing about collateral damage or anything else because these fuckers are coming over into our country and killing innocent people. And because of our bedshitter regime prior to 47s, you've got people who've been deported and come back multiple times, members of gangs. Look at Lake and Riley. Look at all these other folks who've been killed at the hands of people that had no business ever coming across the fucking border to begin with.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'd tell them, I'd say, you either fix the problem or we're going to fix it. And if you don't like the tariffs, fix your shit.
And it's the exact same thing with, why everybody thought, why are we ganging up on Canada? Well, it's the same thing. Canada's border is huge, and it's so freaking porous, and it's not just fentanyl, but here's the thing: whether it's imported or not, you have basically about the same amount of people that would be on a 747 dying of fentanyl overdoses and or related causes every day.
Yeah.
So if you had a 747 that was fully loaded crashing every day, something would happen. Some shit would get turned around. But because that border, on both sides, but especially Canada, is so porous, they don't want to live here. They just want to get their product over. And it's fentanyl, it's meth, marijuana, stuff like that. And it's just because they don't have, the gun culture that we have up there and they've been, castrated on that end, doesn't mean that they're all sweet and, they just sit there and suck maple syrup from mama's tit. These people are just as, crotchety and angry, especially the drug dealers, as, American born ones are. And that's all that Trump is saying is fix your fucking border and we'll be, we're going to be partners and pals.
Yeah, I mean, what I find funny is, what I find funny is this new prime minister is coming in and saying, well, something was said today. I saw a brief blurb about, I guess there's a part of the United States that gets some electricity from Canada, which that whole concept seems ludicrous. But I guess this new prime minister is saying, well, we'll just cut their electricity. Okay. All right. If they're going to try some shit like that, that's not tariffs. That's something else.
Yeah.
That's something else. And if they want to do that, that's fine. There's a reason why all of Canada's major cities are within so many miles of the United States. Because there's nothing in their fucking country to the north other than fucking wendigos and trees.
Right.
So you can do that shit if you want. And they say the reason they tariff all our goods that come in there the way they do is to protect their farmers and to keep them from having an overstock of things. Well,
they hate the farmers.
Well, we're protecting our different industries by tariffing your stupid ass. So how's it any different? Now, I understand that on the front, tariffs can be painful for people like us. If you've got investments, retirements, whatever, um, they can affect the bottom line. But if they work as the way they're supposed to, that should correct itself.
Well,
Now,
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no, I'm saying you just won't know until you get to that point.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
I like my wife was showing me on one of her accounts where she's lost money this past month or whatever. I said, well, that's to be expected. You will get it back. Just don't panic.
Yeah,
You
don't
know,
look at it.
well, don't sit there and stare at it daily because all you're going to do is lose your shit.
Yeah.
Look at it once a month, and you start seeing it's doing it's making a steady decline. You can always look to put it into something more secure. That's fine, but don't panic with it because that you got to understand how investments work and how brokerage works. These different things. Um, But as I was saying, the tariffs will negatively affect or can negatively affect people like us, the working class. But if you can endure it for the long run, we'll be better off for it. Um, while I don't fully grasp the entire concept of them, I understand the purpose, I guess. But the way it affects the cost and how it's reflected back on the people, my philosophy has always been, and I've said this before, back when I was back years and years and years ago, when I was in my 20s, I said, when Saudi Arabia or OPEC wanted $90 a barrel of fucking oil, a bushel of wheat should have been the same price
Yeah, exactly.
because you need that wheat a lot more than we need that oil.
Yeah, it sucks to not be able to eat.
Well, I mean, you go eat so many dogs and fucking camels,
Right.
but I'm saying I've never quite understood how we've allowed ourselves. Well, I mean, I understand how we got there, but I don't understand how we allowed ourselves to get there. We should never be in a position where we don't have bargaining power as a nation and as an economy. You don't have to be adversarial with your trading partners. You can work it out where there's a fair playing field. But it seems to me that every fucking body we do business with wants all the free shit and to stick us dead in the ass at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, that we're turning that ATM off. We're moving that bitch. you know,
Oh, yeah.
um, no, we shouldn't be paying for any of this shit. And
Well,
if you're wanting to import something, like if you're Mexico and you're wanting to build Fords and Dodges or whatever and import them in because the companies have gone to you and opened up manufacturing plants there, it's all well and good. But you're not going to charge us any more than what we be charged. You see what I'm saying? The amount should
oh,
be the
yeah.
same. And when you look at some of the things like Canada tariffs that's on, and it's in the hundreds of percents, and they're bitching about what we're doing, it's like, look, you fuckers have taken advantage of us for how long? Everybody in the fucking free world has. And the
Decade.
unfree world. They see the United States, and they say, ooh, ATM. So for years and years and years, we've been just giving shit away with no recompense.
Yeah, and
That shit
you
needs to
remember
stop.
who warned us about that, right?
Who
Ross
was that?
Perot.
Yeah, yeah.
He
Good
said,
old
yeah,
Perot.
he said, you enact NAFTA, and your jobs are gone. You'll
Yeah,
have free trade, but your jobs will be gone.
yeah. Perot was a brilliant man. You don't have to like him, but he was ahead of his time.
Oh, yeah, and it's funny how, so okay, yeah, Trump has either enacted or said he was going to do all these tariff increases on Canada. Well, China just went ahead and said, screw it. We're going to do 100% tariffs on your canola oil, your pork, um, your processed foods that you make to Canada, and our state-run media hasn't said a word, and Canada hasn't said really a whole lot out in the out in public, but China's like, oh screw it, we're going to do 100% tariffs on Canadian products.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how things balance out. I got told my wife, told some other people, I said, let's just sit back and see how this bounces. I don't think it's going to be as hard as some people say, but we don't know what the future holds. Um, I don't think. I think all of our revenue for this country should be brought in through tariffs, like it used to be. We shouldn't pay income tax. We shouldn't be taxed 8 times what we earn.
Exactly.
Just think about this. You're okay when you're working. You and your employer pay tax, right?
Yep.
Then at the end of the year, you have to file a tax return with the Internal Revenue Service.
Mm-hmm.
And they determine whether you've paid enough tax or not. Meanwhile, every time you go out and spend any of the money you got taxed on, you're paying tax again.
Every time.
Every time. And then let's say that you have the wherewithal and the fortitude and the foresight to say, hey, I got a little bit extra money here. I'm going to buy some stocks, or I'm going to buy some bonds, or I'm going to do this. Then they fuck you on capital gains. So now you're getting bent over again. Okay? And then God forbid one of your relatives pass away.
Oh yeah.
And they give you something when they die, because depending on where you live, there's a thing called the death tax.
Yeah.
And boy, let me tell you, those crooked motherfuckers just grin like Cheshire cats. So I've just listed 4 different ways you get burned.
Oh, I mean, yeah, that's 4 ways. Then you because the United States, one of our founding the things that made us the United States was we could own property. Well, you can't own property anymore. I mean, you on ethereally you can go out and pay some money for some property, but you never fully own it because
you
property
tax.
taxes.
You stop paying taxes, they'll take it from you.
Yeah.
That's where we got fucked right there.
So you got property tax, you got city tax, you got county tax, you got tax on your vehicle, you got tax. Yeah, I mean, gas tax.
I don't mind. Okay, here's the thing. I would be fine with them absolving a tax on personal property or a tax on what you earned. You shouldn't pay tax on either of those.
Right.
Now, if they want to enact some kind of consumption tax, that's fine, because the consumption tax will affect everybody.
Yeah.
Let's say you're here on a green card, or for that matter, you're a legal alien. Every time you spend that money that Guapo paid you got to pay tax. So when you buy that 12-pack of Dos Equis, or you buy those
Modelo,
whatever it is they buy, those little damn Taki chips.
Oh yeah, Takis.
Hey, and let's don't forget about the hood rats buying the Fetty chips.
Oh yeah,
they're paying tax. So all those people living in the projects and everything else, they're at least paying a consumption tax. Okay, I understand. Not to throw shade on people that live in government housing, but let's face it, people in the government tit, a lot of them are not there because they need to be there. They're there because they want to be there. Right. You can thank Lyndon Johnson for that shit.
Yep.
But you shouldn't be paying taxes on property. If I go and buy a car tomorrow, and I pay my tax on that purchase and buy my tag and all that bullshit, there should be no more tax on my vehicle. It's done.
Yeah, it's done.
You shouldn't have, I mean, that's it. You own it. So it's the same way with your home. It's the same way the property your home's on. All that shit, we need to get away from that. Now, will they ever do it? I don't think so, for a couple of different reasons. I think politicians enjoy having it as a bargaining chip. They'll posture and bitch, but they don't ever really do anything to change it. Okay. The only time you hear people start talking about enacting change is when it's time for re-election.
Yeah.
And then when those fuckers get the votes, they suddenly have amnesia as to what the hell they're talking about. So, again, same deal. But I do believe you could take the tariffs and you could do exactly what we used to do. Now, are there some things we can get away with? Evening, Mama D. Good to see you. If there's some, are there some things we might need to trim back, get rid of? Probably. But I'm not in the federal government. I'm not up there sitting in the Oval Office with Trump, eating a hamburger, talking to him. So I don't know all the ins and outs of it. But there's definitely room for improvement across the board, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
Now, like me and my buddy Doug had a conversation earlier before I was telling you about it. I don't like it when people call Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid entitlements.
No, because you paid into them.
Right. And even if you're going after abuse or whatever in them, you should not refer to them as entitlements because they're not. By definition, they were never entitlements. We paid into them as taxpayers in this country. As U.S. citizens, we paid into those programs. It's not an entitlement. It's a fucking Ponzi scheme the federal government lured us into and forced us to contribute to.
Yeah,
and
we
stole all the
were
fucking money.
forced to pay into it.
So, if anything, go back and look at all the fucking politicians that took IOUs and stole all the money. Maybe you need to go after them. I mean, that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah,
I remember back in the 80s, those crooked motherfuckers would bounce checks. Back when you wrote checks. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
The politicians bounce checks. Oh, well. If we did that shit, they'd lock us up.
Exactly. They put your check on the 7-Eleven bulletin board, lock you up.
Uh-huh.
And yeah.
Yes, sir. You're absolutely right. But see, again, and this makes a segue into some other shit I want to talk about. Now, how many of you, and Sax Man, if I'm running my mouth too much, tell me shut the fuck up and jump in there. How many of you have seen all this shit to these different politicians, all the fuckery, like AOC, helping people avoid ICE, and these people are getting these investments, like Ilhan Omar's daughter was the person stirring up shit at one of the colleges, and she was funneling money to her, and how there's somebody else funneling money to their kid too. All these different things, all these different politicians funneling money. Okay, I'm tired of hearing about fucking corruption. When are we going to see people get perp walked?
Well, you're not, because those are freedom fighters, man. Those are people that are resisting the system.
If you're stealing millions of taxpayer dollars, you're a fucking crook.
No.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. You're a crook. If you did it or I did it, there'd be a stream of fucking drones and MRAPs on our street, would there not?
This is true, but I mean,
we would be getting, man. Look, dude, we would be getting ass raped in a prison somewhere because they'd have us in it. Am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely
right.
right.
You're going to sit here and you're going to keep telling us about this corruption. Fucking do something about it.
Yeah.
See, I don't want to see the Attorney General, Pam Bondi. It seems like they'll bring this shit up and then there's nothing happens. No, we're done with that. Deal with the fucking problem. Don't go on to another problem until this one's dealt with. I don't want to hear about Epstein or anything else. I want you to go after all these corrupt ass politicians and lock them up. Seize their shit on RICO, put them in a fucking cardboard box under a bridge, or either lock their ass up. One or the other. Period. If we did that, our ass would be under the jail for a fraction of what these crooked bastards have done. Look at that Jasmine Crockett chick. Have you heard about her?
Oh, yeah.
She's basically a fake ghetto representative. She didn't grow up in the ghetto. She grew up in a very privileged life, went to college, everything else, but she presents as ghetto.
For her constituency.
Yeah, and she's just putting on an act.
Yeah.
And how did she go from being her salary of what $200,000 to what $9 million or some shit like that? How do you do that? You can't do it legally. You've got to be doing insider trading. There's no way.
Rules for thee, but not for me, man.
Well, that shit needs to stop.
Oh, it does, yeah.
I mean, I'm tired of hearing about all these people crooks and everything else. Do something about it.
I'm just saying. I mean, yes, absolutely, 100%. But we're up against the same people that can vote themselves raises.
That shit should have never happened to begin with.
Yeah.
If they want a raise, it should go before the people to vote. And it shouldn't be put before the people for a vote until it's an actual election for something like a governor or a state representative or something. They should only be able to get a raise when there's an election. Period.
Oh, it should be on the ballot.
Yeah, and if you either agree or you don't agree.
And
because they have no business voting their own stuff.
And every time that you're sending money, to I don't give a fuckistan or whatever, then that should be on the ballot as well.
Yep, I agree. They shouldn't be able to do that because it's our money. They shouldn't have carte blanche just go and move money around or support, the homosexual habits of kangaroos and fucking Mobby somewhere. We don't need none of that shit.
In Missouri.
Our money don't need to be going
exactly.
There. So, what's up, Jay?
No, living the dream.
Hey.
Man, you guys need a better secretary. I've been backstage for, 10 minutes or so. I can't. Oh.
Well, all I can say is he's busy.
Busy, yeah.
Busy. He's
busy.
Got going on.
Air quote.
Well, at least you're in here now. We were talking about you already heard part of it, which rolled in on with the tariffs and whatnot. Like I was telling Sax, man, I'm tired of seeing all the corruption. Do something about it.
Yeah.
I don't. We already knew they were corrupt. All you've done is expose the level of corruption. Now, fucking prosecute
it. Okay. The only thing is we change administrations. We still have the same corrupt people in the House and the Senate. Every administration. I mean, and they just swing with the tide. So all those Republicans and Democrats that were in office the last 4 years are still in power for this 4 years.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, Republicans act like, oh, what's that feeling I got? Oh my gosh, I think that's a spine now.
Mm-hmm.
And they waddle on out there, with their chest all puffed out, Screw them, mother truckers.
I agree.
Yeah, some guys are about as crooked as a dog's hind leg, just like what's his nuts, old bitch McConnell and
Isn't bitch leaving?
Which one?
Isn't
bitch
leaving?
McConnell? Oh yeah, he's on out. Yeah, because they can't have a wax mannequin, standing out there voting.
Well, they can. Just don't zoom in on it too much.
Yeah. Shoot.
Hey, look. If you can have the Deliverance stand-in for bedshitter, then I bet you can find somebody to stand in for bitch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Earlobes don't lie.
Yeah. Earlobes matter.
That's it. Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. So, but we were just talking about that. I mean, I'm tired of seeing all this bullshit.
Oh,
I don't want to hear about
you and I both.
Do something about it. Fucking change things. Start locking these motherfuckers up and make an example out of them. AOC, for her shit she was doing to the ICE people alone, her ass ought to be prosecuted.
Yeah. Well, they had FBI and ICE people giving heads up to illegals about raids and stuff, something like that. I don't. I heard something about it. I'm just kind of blurry on the details there.
Yeah,
So Tom Honan made some mention of it, and I was like, holy, yeah, they're gonna frog walk some of these people, man.
and I hope they do. I hope they
I
do.
do too. I'm
It
waiting
needs
for.
to happen. He
I'm
seems to
waiting
me
for.
like he'll do it, but who's going to
I bet he
hamstring
doesn't.
him? Is my
Triple
question.
dog dare him.
Well, who's going to hamstring him? Is my question.
Oh my gosh.
Now, y'all
He's-
saw where our pirate representative, what's his name? Come on, do with the eye patch.
No. Yeah.
Crenshaw.
Uh.
Good job.
Yeah. Crenshaw.
You saw where he did the
Yeah.
hot mic talking about he fucking killed Tucker.
Yeah.
All right, all right,
Yeah. Why? What? Hey, that's a threat. Why isn't he in handcuffs?
dude. Again,
Hey, I tell you what. If you were to go out, anybody was to go out and say something like that,
oh
I
yeah,
guarantee, I guarantee you'd have someone knocking on your door and bracelets,
knocking hell. 2 a.m. The door would be off the hinges and a bunch of people in fucking tactical gear with flashlights would be on your ass.
and your dog shot.
There you go. Facts. So there's two sets of rules. It's time to shit or get off the pot. I'm sorry. I'm done.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear nothing else about corruption. Fucking do something about it. Go after it.
Yep.
And as we were talking about earlier with fucking Mexican cartels and shit like that,
Yeah.
if we've got to move an armored unit to the border and a tactical air wing or air support wing or whatever,
Oh, they already have. They moved a striker unit down to the border,
that's what I'm
and
saying.
then they've got an aviation battalion down there too to cover them.
I would assume the aviation battalion's there to support helicopters, but I could be wrong. But if we've got to,
Aviation, they're going to support the ground units, the striker units. So can you
yeah,
imagine a striker rolling down along the border there? I mean, dude, one, it's going to be awful hot here pretty soon. I hope them things are. I hope them things got AC in them.
well, it all depends on if it's been maintained properly or not by the crew that's on it.
How old's the machine? And did we send the old ones or the new ones to Ukraine?
Well, or did we leave them all in Afghanistan?
Yeah,
So,
I
I
don't
mean,
know. Just asking for a friend.
Striker's a pretty tough vehicle.
Hmm.
And if I'm not mistaken, don't the Strikers have a turret on them? Some kind of
Yeah.
artillery? So, it's like Saxman was talking about, numerous times the Mexican military has come across our border illicitly and then gone right back across. I mean, I remember back, and I may have said this story before, I remember years ago, who I think I was married to my ex, which is terrifying. But somewhere in Texas, on the Rio Grande, there was a vehicle trying to come across into Texas, got stuck. Now, I want to say Texas Rangers responded, or Highway Patrol or something, some kind of Texas law enforcement. And a fucking Mexican military vehicle came on the scene, gave suppressive fire to get the other vehicle and tow it out of the water back to Mexico.
Huh.
That shit right there should never happen. I'm sorry. If you
Yeah.
call on our people, then there needs to be a Apache longbow with a hellfire and just make slag of that motherfucker in the middle of the river and the Mexican military vehicle.
Well, some years back, they had a Mexican military Blackhawk fly over uh, a housing area for Border Patrol.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
Yep. It flew into the United States over that housing unit, and then they flew back off across the border.
maybe
I
it's
don't
time
know.
for us to put a DMZ on our border with Mexico.
Stinger missiles.
Well, you put DMZ and you treat it as such, and anything comes across it, shoot
Yeah.
it. I mean, there's ways to deal with this problem. It's just it'd be great if the Mexican people would step up and want to do something. But like I've said, they're either moving lockstep because they don't feel like they've got any options. Or
Yeah.
you know, it either that or they just feel like, oh well, this is our life. Let's move on.
Yeah.
And the only way real change is going to happen, the people want it. That's the only way it's going to happen. Politicians aren't going to fucking do it because they're all
No.
black as hell. I still think this whole thing with Canada, where they're threatening the electricity on part of the United States, why we get electricity from Canada baffles the shit out of me. But it's like, okay,
Well,
that's not
yeah.
tariff, that's fuckery.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Oh, well, what about all these windmills we have? What, they're not producing enough power?
well, I
No,
don't
they're
know.
too busy bursting into flames.
Well, according to this, yeah, exactly. That freaking joke. They're wanting to do a 25% tariff on electricity for the states to get it from them, which would be Michigan, New York, and Minnesota.
Hmm. Oh, so those three states get electricity from.
I guess. I don't really understand how that works, but yeah,
Okay,
apparently.
Minnesota's the Democrats again. Shoot, that's pretty lefty. And you said New York. There we go.
In Michigan.
Yeah, Michigan, New York, and Minnesota. There we go. Let them pay it.
I just don't understand. Well, apparently you've got some Portland, Maine, Washington, Seattle, North Dakota. There's some other places to get it too, but I don't understand
Oh,
why they're not as widely affected. But I don't understand why we're getting anything from Canada.
Because years ago,
NAFTA.
we kind of ties into that. But if you try to build a refinery or a power plant or anything like that in the States, it's so fucking hard to do because of the red tape that you got to get through now,
Right.
that it's probably easier for them to just hook up with the grid over on, the socialist side of the border. Um, I mean, as much as people, diss Texas going on its own with their power grid, yeah, it sucks right now. Um, but if you actually allowed it to grow and you allowed people, different companies to come in, maybe nuclear, one of the safest things you could do, to come in and, build power plants and stuff like that, then you wouldn't have outages and you wouldn't have to depend on fucking California or something, or some other state to get your power or other
Exactly.
country.
Exactly.
So you know what? If Michigan or any of those fuckers up there up north, want to get socialized electricity, let them pay it.
Yeah.
Knock
I
themselves
agree.
out.
I agree. You know.
There's some power plants in Arizona that supply California. I mean, shoot, put a tariff on California. It'd be a great generator of money for. Well, I know they're going to close down one of those power plants, as far as I know, but hasn't been done yet.
Well,
It's, it's
we got a
still up
lot of
and
different
going
things going
because
on.
it's a coal plant. Because they're coal plants. That's why.
Yeah, but here's the thing: we don't have. They taunt all this bullshit about we need to go green, our carbon footprint, this, that, and the other. Okay, well, A, when all you damn people out there run your fucking mouths start flying on electric aircraft, come and see me. B, we don't have a power grid to support going non-fossil fuel. If we started today, it'd take us 20 years to even halfway get there.
Spain went green. Spain went absolutely green, and they lost their ass.
And Spain's the size of what? Georgia? I mean, you know, the
Culture's slightly different, but you know.
It is, but I'm saying, I get what you're saying. It's, you know, it's all well and good for a European country. Europe, their whole outlook on things is fucking weird to me.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, because they've had the Americans paying for their shit for the past 75 years.
Yeah.
There you go.
True.
And there's not 365 million of them in one country. Sorry.
Yeah. You're right.
And they're getting like free transgender shows, courtesy of our tax dollars, you know.
Well, you know, like I've said before, we shouldn't, you know, going green is a farce and a fallacy. Just like global warming is. Does global warming happen? Yes, it does. But it's not necessarily all man's fault that is happening. We have a thing called...
No, sir, it's climate change. It's climate change now.
You know, whatever. We've got a thing we orbit called the sun that gives us life. Okay? And
it could take it too.
If it gets hotter, yes, it could. If it gets hotter, guess what? It gets hotter here. Yes, if certain things happen on the surface of the planet, it can affect climate in different ways. But overall, they've been saying the same bullshit for 60 fucking years. And the last time I checked, Miami's still there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you can go to any climatologist, and they will tell you, you know, if it gets colder, if the world itself gets colder, you know what you can't produce when it gets really cold? Crops.
Yeah.
And you know, you'll have a lot more people dying, but that's okay because climate change and decreasing the population.
Hey, if population gets decreased, you don't need so much crops.
Amen, brother.
Well, you know, if you leave it up to Bill Gates and his cadre of people, they're all going to want you to eat fucking crickets anyways.
Hard pass.
I'm not eating anything that chirps.
Just don't eat great value syrup because you'll eat crickets.
Oh, really?
Yep.
No shit.
No shit.
No shit.
Damn. Well, I'm glad you gave me the 411 on that, although I don't think I got any great value syrup in the house. I'll stick with Aunt Jemima.
Yeah.
Log cabin. But, yeah, no. Well, I don't understand. You know, it seems to me that the news is trying to make it like Canada's turning against the United States because it's affecting them. It's affecting, you know, people up there. Well, we've been getting affected for the past however many years that we've been getting screwed on all these trade deals. It's time other people feel the pain. That's not to say that we can't come to the table and level the playing field and everybody get along and play well together. But there needs to be some adjustment to balance things because we've been paying all the bills and giving our money away, and all these fucking politicians and governments have been profiting from it at our expense as taxpayers.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I mean, Europeans for decades have complained about Americans and Americans' role in European affairs, but the second that, you know, Trump gets in office and says, you know what? Hey, Europe can solve Europe's problems now, and Europe can also use Europe's money, and all of a sudden it's, oh my God, how could you do that? Let's clutch some fucking pearls here.
Yep.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
it, it's funny. I mean, hell, even Putin the other day was like, UK, the UK is the biggest instigator of everything that's happened before and after we invaded. Um, so maybe we should focus our attention to y'all. And if I were a citizen of the UK and I heard my prime minister or one of the people in their cabinet, just say, you know what, we're ready to put boots on the ground over there. I'd be sucking cotton out of my chair because it only take about two nukes to wipe this once great empire of Britain that's about as big as fucking Michigan off the map.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you heard what Trump said about NATO, right? He said, he said that if the other NATO allies don't start committing their share to the cost of it, that the U.S. will not commit to getting involved in a conflict should one arise.
Why should we?
We shouldn't be involved in a conflict to begin with.
There is nothing in Europe that is worth American treasure and blood.
Nope, there is not.
Yeah. So if anything happens, is anybody going to come help us?
Britain might.
Mm-mm.
UK might. But they probably
Yeah.
not the ones.
Yeah. If they said, hey, we need some help rounding up firearms, yeah, they'd probably come over and help.
I was gonna say Canada might, but you know what Canada produces for weapons?
Hmm.
Not a fucking thing. So
Well, yeah.
what are they gonna do? Once we run out, they run out. So
Yeah. Yeah, Canada gets all their shit from us primarily. I mean, they might get some stuff from the UK, but yeah,
they've got a blunderbuss. We could use that.
and that's no. Uh-uh. They could get their Sasquatch brigade and send it in combat, I guess.
Right?
But we're in a weird time right now, and I'm curious to see how things start to play out. Like I said, I think that the attorney general needs to pick something and stick with it and get it resolved before they move on to digging more shit up on something, because all you're doing is just creating shit. You're not getting anything resolved.
Yeah, it is. It's like throwing a whole bunch of shit in the air and saying, "Look what we've done. There's corruption. Okay, fix it."
Yeah, do something about it. Oh, look at all these names on the Epstein files. Okay, lock them the fuck up.
Yeah, I mean, I honest to God could care less about it, the Epstein stuff. That carries about as much weight and concern to me as who had cocaine in the White House. Nothing. I do not give a shit.
I think,
but I do care. I do care, like you're saying, about a senator or a representative that can go in for a few years, making $175,000 a year, and come out with $12 million.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I'm more worried. I'm more concerned about that.
Yeah, I am too. But I mean, the only reason I say anything about the Epstein stuff is because you have a lot of people that went there, including politicians. Hey, Jack and Jim, that are supposed to be setting the example per se, or setting themselves to a higher standard, and they're going and partaking in this deviancy. I think that shit should be on blast, and they should put it out there. All these people have been there. That's all I'm saying. Priority-wise, we should be going after all these corrupt politicians that are doing all this fuckery and all their little minions that are doing it. Lock them up, perp walk them.
Oh yeah, and so instead of sitting here and prosecuting the Assanges of the world, then you start going after congressmen and representatives, senators and representatives. You go after them, and let's see how that goes. You know,
That's what yeah.
let's make these fuckers do what they were intended to do at the very get go. You go in, you do your time. If you're going up there for a purpose, like I really want to get this issue and get it wrangled and help people. I go up there, I do it, or I fail. One of the two. I go back home. That's it. It's not. It was never meant to be. I always liken it to career, and I'm a Christian, but I liken it to career
Since when?
pastors. Yes, it's forever, and
Okay.
but it's pastoring and political stuff was never meant to be a 40+ year. I'm going to get rich off of this thing.
Yeah.
It was not. You're absolutely right. Politicians were never meant to be there for the career. They were meant to be there voluntarily, actually.
What gets me is old Pam Blondie. She said that they had to mark out some names on there for national security reasons. Now
Why?
wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Why?
Yeah. I don't care. No, put them names on there. Let's pull them out, and that way we can say, add a few more strings of rope to the gallows. You know, let's not give those people a pass.
Well, did you hear about the one I heard? I just caught a blurb of it, and I don't know what it was about. I can't remember where I heard it. Let me see if I can pull it up real fast. It was about Epstein. The newest conspiracy was that there's a spy theory that he was some kind of spy of some kind, and that's why they don't want to push it no further because of what it will, I guess, who might be involved. Like it would be, they're trying to word it in a way where if they were to expose that, it would threaten national security or whoever he was working for.
Here, let me pretend to care.
I know, but I'm just telling you, this is one of the latest things they're doing. And if you think about it, the odds are it was probably created by a bunch of people who are actually on those lists and are, saying, we don't want to get prosecuted or defamed or whatever, blacklisted. So let's generate something to kind of take this out of the spotlight. Because it doesn't have to be truthful. They've already proven that. They've been lying to us for 20+ years. I mean, but it wouldn't surprise me if some of the very people that are on that list aren't helping to perpetrate this load of bullshit. That's, just my 2 cents.
I still believe some of the people involved are still in office today.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, bag them all up. Let's go. Let's do this for real. Not this dog and pony show that we've been getting for the last, I don't know,
too damn long.
Forever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's time to lock people up. It's time to prosecute people. I don't want to hear about any more corruption. I would say do a 2-pronged thing. Go after all the people that are corrupt and been cashing in this money and paying it to their daughters and every fucking body else. Lock them up. Go after the people like AOC who were aiding and abetting fucking illegals and impeding investigations. Lock her ass up. And it doesn't matter. They even if they're still, lock them up, put them in jail, make them have to liquidate assets to get out of jail, put them on trial, publicize the trial, fucking charge these people. We're done. And if it's something that, in my opinion, if it's something that was considered treasonous or against the country, it shouldn't be tried in regular court.
Right.
Because that's a whole different beast. And
yeah,
if you're found guilty, you're either A, going to get a short rope, a fast drop, fast stop or whatever, sudden drop,
Short drop and a sudden stop.
exactly. Or there's going to be a crack and a hole in the back of your head, or you're going to be breaking the Al Qaeda in Guantanamo. One of the three.
Yeah.
So I don't understand. Do your fucking job. I'm all for finding corruption and everything else. That's great, and waste and everything else, but stick to one thing, fucking fix it, and move on to the next. You see what I'm saying? Don't just go stirring up a bunch of shit and not get anything done.
Right.
So, all right. Well, I've bitched enough. I'm sorry I talked over everybody. I apologize. I was on a roll. I don't want to keep Vanguard any longer than I absolutely have to because I know he's trying to juggle a few things here. So, Jay,
like a nap.
Well, if that was true, we wouldn't be on here.
Well, that's why I was late.
So what I'm going to do is, Jay, I'm going to give you the floor for some parting words of wisdom.
I'm just going to go with the same. It's it won't change. I mean, if anybody wants any change, I mean, you're going to have to call your elected officials. I mean, everybody thinks, oh, that won't do anything. Okay, well, just get your thumb out of your ass, make the phone call. It only takes a few minutes. If it does something, it does something. If it don't, it don't. If you don't feel it's going to do anything, then don't vote. Go crawl in a hole and, shut the. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's my 2 cents.
Okay, fair enough.
And carry always. Don't trust your government.
All right. Sax Man, it's all yours, brother.
Well, I just want to tell everybody, use condom sense.
Just damn. Just damn.
And just because just because we won, this is a rare instance, but Jay is right. You need to call your representatives and, let them know what you think. Do it often.
For multiple phone numbers.
Yeah. Amen. Pray it up, and that's what I got, man.
Amen.
All right, brothers. I agree. Well said. Thank everybody for being here. I hope we weren't too boring. I am sure by the next time we're on here, it could be Thursday, could be next Tuesday. It all depends on schedules. Then we'll have more fuckery to talk about because it's ever flowing in the current
Niagara Falls.
So, keep your head on a swivel. Be thankful for what you have. Don't forget about why we're all here and what we're concerned about. Don't lose sight of the prize and don't get
Complacent.
relax. Pay attention to what's going on, because when you get lazy and relax a little bit, that's when shit really gets bad. So you need to stay vigilant, pay attention to what's going on, and get involved. Like they said, call your representatives. Do these things. Be a voice. It doesn't matter if it's just a town hall meeting in your damn wherever you live. Do it and be there. Be a voice.
Get involved locally. That's where all your real elections and everything is the local stuff. The national stuff anymore, I tell you, it's almost a damn time.
The local stuff affects you more directly than the national generally, but the national can have really bad consequences too. You need to pay attention to everything. But the local is just as important as the national, if not more. So That being said, thanks everybody for being here. Stay safe. Have a good week. And we will see you on the flip side. Good night, everybody.
All right.
Ban anal bleaching.